2016 Honda CRV, and we are doing the front brake pads and rotors. Let's get to it. All right, first step is to remove the wheel. It's a 19 millimeter. All right, next we're gonna go ahead and remove the caliper bolts. There are two of them, right here, 12 millimeters. Place the caliper safely out of the way. Save these pins, these separation pins for your brake pads, just in case your new brake pads do not come with hardware. You will need to reuse these. Now we can go ahead and remove the brake caliper brackets. At this point, I always like to check the guide pins for play. Make sure that they move in and out and that you can spin them freely. If your guide pins are not moving as easily as this, you will probably need to pull them out of the caliper and give them some lubrication with some brake parts lubricator. 19 millimeters. To remove your rotor, you're going to need to remove this screw right here. This screw is installed during the manufacturing of the vehicle to keep the rotor flush so the machine can put everything else on easily. I do recommend using a slap screwdriver like this one right here. What you want to do with these is, as you're putting it down, you're going to twist it. And break it off, apparently. As you saw, even with the correct tool, sometimes life just happens, and it was that bit's time to go. The tip of the bit broke off inside of the screw and I couldn't get it out. So normally you would want to drill these out, but because the tip of the bit is significantly harder than the screw, I said forget it. I just got my my cutoff wheel right here, and I just put a little slit in it. I'm gonna see if I can't just get that out with a flathead screwdriver real quick. Yes, nice. So that works. Get off of there. All right, get your new rotor, slide it on. Now you don't have to reinstall this screw. It's just put on there from the manufacturer during the building process, but it does keep the rotor nice and flat while you're reinstalling the caliper and everything. So it does make the job a little bit easier. So I usually just put it in and give it a good turn. I don't go crazy on it or anything like that, because once the rim is bolted back on, it's going to press everything together flat anyway. So like I said, you don't really need it, but it does kind of help. So I like the convenience. All right, we got our caliper bracket right here. We're gonna go ahead and remove the old hardware now. And if your brake pads do not come with new hardware, you kind of just want to get yourself a wire brush, something like this, and just get in here and clean this up, and then do the same when you reinstall your old hardware, just to make sure you don't have any, see all that dust coming out of there? I don't know if that's going to show up on the camera, but you want to make sure that they're nice and clean inside of there. You don't need to go crazy and polish it or anything, but I like to make sure that it is in good shape at the very least. Where'd my hardware go? There it is. All right, installing the new hardware. You can see that there's these little tabs right here that need to go on the inside where the rotor is going to be. And then you press these down front and back until they sit flush throughout. After that, get some of the brake parts lubricant that I talked about earlier. This is the purple stuff. I like the purple stuff. It does a good job. I recommend it. If you don't have any, get yourself a bottle of the purple stuff. Get yourself just a little dab and kind of work it around there. This is where the brake pad is going to sit, and you want that brake pad to be able to glide as the rotor, or I'm sorry, as the caliper compresses and decompresses whenever you push the brake pedal. Don't put too much of this stuff on here because it can get onto the rotor. It can cause smoke, it can cause a lot of other things. Just put like just a little dab or drop of it. That's really all you need. Bracket. It says what I'm talking about, putting that screw back in the rotor. This thing just sits nice and flush. I'm not fighting the rotor while I'm trying to install these things. I think it's worth it. I think putting one little screw, if it's got two screws, I'll just put one back in, but you know what I mean? Next, we're going to compress the brake caliper. Go ahead and grab one of the old brake pads. Place it right there. And I use a C-clamp. They do have caliper compression tools. I've used dozens of them. They work great, but they tend not to last that long. This C-clamp I've had for 10 years, and it's never given me any issue. So this is just what I use. You can do whatever you see fit as long as it provides an even pressure on the front face of that piston so we can press it back into the caliper like so. And press it all the way back. And you have it. Just stay there. All right, go ahead and slide in our new brake pads. If you look at your brake pads, you'll see that two of them will have the wear indicators. That's this little piece of metal that's gonna grind into your rotor when the brake pad gets worn down. That goes on the inside. And thought I had the wrong pads for a second. It's giving me all kinds of issues right now. Yep. Really showing your ass for the camera there, Honda. See, that side went in nice and easy. Now that you've got both your brake pads in, hopefully if you have new hardware, this is where you're going to go ahead and install your separator pins. And these are going to do exactly what the name implies. They're going to separate your brake pads so that they're not riding the rotor all the time. Now, these can be a little bit of pain in the butt, but you just gotta hold them while you install the caliper. And push that guide pin back in. There are 2 caliper bolts. These down to the height. And a very important final step, get yourself a can of brake parts cleaner, and you'll want to spray down this rotor, front and back. Pretty well, and the reason for that is because when the new rotors are made, they cover them in oil so that they don't rust while they're sitting on shelves or being transported between the stores or whatever. And you don't want that oil on your rotors when you first start driving. It's going to cause a bunch of smoke. It's going to be nasty. It can wear or take down the life of your brand new brake pads, and it's all just bad stuff. So make sure you spray that off. Other than that, put your tire on and you are golden. This video helped you out, leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe, and we will see you next time.